Hello, Zeteo here. Today we're doing a speed cast. This is where we take
Game
a
started.
high-level replay, and actually the replay's starting, so why don't we just get into it, eh? So, at this bottom center position as our blue player, we have our Cortex guy, ZLOvsTherxy. Certainly a person that's been around the block several times and back. And at the top right-hand position here, we have our red Armada player, Pachama. This is actually Therxy, just a name change. I did look this name up. It is I guess a famous Japanese VTuber that Therxy is, I don't know, impersonating or just taking the name on. But either way, yes, it's Therxy at 44 OS. Looks like it's going to be bots for Therxy, and it's going to be bots over here for ZLO. And this is Tundra. Tundra, I believe, is it a 14? No, it's a 16 by 16. Now this map does have, it does have some water going through the middle, but this is only 5 elevation lower. You can see at the bottom here, and ticks can cross here, so these can get into ZLO's base, and ZLO's going to have to play a little bit defensively since they are grunts, and grunts are certainly more expensive than ticks. So the tick, you can't have as many grunts as you can ticks out, so the grunts need to be at the base kind of defending. It's just hard to have enough grunts to be aggressive and defensive. But yeah, Resbot out here is going to run into a tick. It looks like there is a grunts, though, able to come out immediately to defend that. So ZLO here is going to be in a pretty good spot with that, at least in terms of that tick. There is another tick, or a couple more ticks coming in here from the right-hand side. But there is a grunts out here as well. It's kind of the nice thing about building like this. You kind of have grunts popping out to be able to defend your sides in due time. So I don't think these ticks are going to do too much. Actually, they do get a mechs here. This grunt's not able to keep up with that tick, just running around the mechs there. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, there is a grunts that is picked off by these pawns. So Therxy doing a nice job just making sure that his expansions are defended as he moves out here. So yeah, one con is out for Therxy.
Game
Is he
started.
going to send another one out? So it looks like no. Instead, he's going to send his commander out to expand. That's a pretty reasonable thing to do. Now, you may notice he doesn't have a nano at his base, but he does have 2 cons to be able to defend. Actually, just now building on that nano. Not a lot of metal to work with, so he's just going to be slow building this and just not cranking out that many units in the meantime. So. It's going to rely on the units that he has out for now to be able to keep up with production, or to keep up with the pressure so that he doesn't need as many units back at home. But yeah, ZLO's commander's still at base, still cranking out units. So he's going to have a bit of an army lead here in a moment. Right now they're even. And I think Therxy will be getting ahead here with this commander moving out, grabbing those mexes. Since the commander has 300 build power, it's going to be able to build expansions a lot faster than a con can. So meanwhile, there is a bit of a battle here in the center of the map, but the grunt's doing a pretty reasonable job just sticking together, picking off those pawns, getting some extra damage in from a distance, and making sure that the pawns don't advance. But yeah, with these grunts, these grunts are fairly damaged, so I don't really think they're going to do too much, but ZLO is pressuring with them down the center field here, and Therxy doing what he can with these pawns, kind of keeping them back, kind of picking them off. Found an opportunity to take out a couple of grunts here, even 3 grunts actually, but going to need to back up a little bit here, as those grunts do have more range. They can abuse that range a little bit. In fact, grunts are seen as, for sure, a lot weaker than pawns in a straight-up fight, and it's really up to the grunts to be able to use their range a little bit to their advantage. So yeah, at this level of play, you certainly can't get away with just sitting there with your grunts. You need to be able to run around and kite a little bit so that you get that extra range bonus in a way. But yeah, ZLO pressuring on this right-hand side as well. Actually, it's just going to run back now, and I think that's a smart idea considering Therxy has a lot of units over here to make sure that nothing gets through. So let's look at the expansion count. We do have a couple of cons out here for ZLO. Looks like 2 cons at the base. Commander is still pumping units out of the lab. Just now building actually, it's a second nano now at this point. But yeah, certainly needs some more build power to spend that metal and get some more energy going to be able to support a larger force here. Therxy is doing a pretty good job with his resources here. spending his metal. Now has two nanos as well, 2 con turrets, I suppose, if you want to call it that. But yeah, expanding pretty quickly here with that commander. A couple of cons out here expanding as well, so that's you got 2 cons and a commander, which is quite a bit of expanding. So it's up to Therxy to defend this, especially since ZLO just continues to pump out lots and lots of units here. There's tons of grunts coming out of here with that, 2 nanos done and the commander. As long as he gets up a little bit more energy going on, he can certainly just keep up the pressure with just how many grunts are coming out here. But yeah, certainly still has a pile of units on this right-hand side, and then also has a lot of units on this left, but then a couple of units still out raiding on the far left. I said left there as the first one, I meant the right side. So he's got units on the right and the left and the center, I guess. So yeah, lots of stuff going on here. But yeah, look at this. We got some Centurions joining the battle for Therxy here. And I think with that support, the extra hit points from those Centurions, like if they were alone, they'd be easily picked off by the huge number of grunts here. But with the pawn support and the Centurions absorbing damage, I think Therxy's able to kind of keep this at bay a little bit. And they do have some extra range, so you can do stuff like this, like poke up a little bit with the Centurion, do a little bit of extra damage, pick off an extra grunts. We do have an air transition here as well for ZLO. I don't know if I quite like this, just because he hasn't built up his energy economy as much, and aircraft take a lot of energy. So I wonder how much he's actually going to be able to get done with this, especially if he's showing aircraft. Like, I think he just kind of showed that. I think maybe that was close enough to these pawns to see that. In fact, because you can see a little bit further when it comes to aircraft. Yeah, so he's showing the air. Okay, so now he's going in. I don't know if Therxy saw it the first time, but yeah, he's getting an air lab here. And there's the scout. So here comes the bombing. Directly on the anti-air. Yeah, right on the anti-air. Now, Therxy's still producing units, still has that bot lab. And so he doesn't really have the metal to be able to do this. He's just kind of spending too well. And if you're going to spend too well like that, you kind of, really need to either crank out dedicated anti-air from the ground like these crossbow, or get the air lab. He's trying to do both here, so taking a little bit of extra damage. I feel like he could have maybe avoided some of that if he kind of just paused some of the production, or try not to overspend like that. But yeah, Therxy now realizing that he has that advantage on the ground, since ZLO and air is pushing in here with all these pawns on this right hand side. Probably going to take out a couple of these expansions, maybe not as much. I mean, he's running into a position here where the LLTs are doing a pretty good job here. Grunt's still sitting back there to defend as well, so he's going to hold on to that territory for the most part. So yeah, Therxy doing a pretty good job just holding everything and taking out a lot of these mexes here. Sees the commander in this position, sees lots of grunts, decides not to push in there. Now, Centurions do outrange a commander, so it is very possible to destroy the place, have one Centurion left, and have that one Centurion take out a commander by himself. But yeah, it's very tricky to do, because you don't really know if there's going to be reinforcements, and it gets kind of tricky, and you don't want to just waste all your units that way. So good call just not doing that at the moment. We do see a vehicle lab in the center here. Therxy adding on a con turret for it, so he has a con turret and his commander going to be able to boost out some vehicles from there. He does still have the air plants and the bot lab, just kind of sitting idle at the moment, which is kind of fine, because he doesn't really have the build power at that vehicle plant to be able to produce a lot of stuff out there quickly. But yeah, as his metal goes down, he should want to switch that out. Now, ZLO, I don't think he knows about this bot lab, or I'm sorry, the vehicle plant here, and has switched into a T2 lab for himself. And I think with that, Therxy, with that transition to the vehicles, not using all the build power that he's had at his main base, just isn't cranking out units right now. So that's going to give some opportunity for ZLO to breathe a little bit and get T2 pretty safely here. Now, there's still a bomber, I guess, running around. The fighter comes in to defend it. Therxy actually doing some micro with some consorts and a transport, moving those around to build up these mexes rather quickly. Nice little tip, by the way, for you new guys out there. Like, if you have an air lab or an air player that's able to give you an air transport, you can ferry around consorts to help build stuff outside of your base. But yeah, this game's going to slow down a little bit here. Therxy adding on a lot of Janus. I mean, I think he kind of saw that commander and the position with all the grunts and whatnot and said, like, okay, if I push with Janus right now, like, I can just destroy, you know, the commander and all those grunts and whatnot if it's well supported and pushed. But the thing is, it's taking so long to muster enough forces with this forward lab that I think it's a little too late here. There's so many grunts out here. You know, and these medium tanks don't really do that much to these grunts. Like, they do have some splash that can help out, but these units are pretty well spread out. They're not like hugging each other in a ball. So I think Therxy, you know, kind of lost an opportunity here. And you know, ZLO has the T2 out now. These fiends are out on the map, and you know, with the bigger force that Therxy has, he can maybe you know, pressure all these various angles after seeing T2, but you know, ZLO has done an exceptionally good job just maintaining a strong T1 army. So as long as he's able to keep this at bay for now, and with those fiends, I think he'll be just fine. He's even setting up some mines on this right-hand side. You know, and there's a sizable force from Therxy, but yeah, with those fiends out, fiends can do some AoE of their own and take down these tanks pretty easily. So you know, I think, you know, Therxy's trying to do what he can, but I'm not sure if this is going to be game ending. I think he might just lose a lot of these units, especially if he splits them up like that. Yeah, this is not what you want to do as Therxy, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, he's running here trying to you know, get some damage on these mexes, but it's going to be pretty easy for ZLO to take this out and rebuild any of the mexes, and you know, just pick up some of this reclaim that Therxy's left behind. So you know, I think this was kind of a blunder from Therxy here to split like that. Okay, he just moved this army back, I think. He does have a T2 vehicle lab of his own now out on the front here. Yeah, and this is great, but at the same time, I think ZLO has gotten away with T2, you know, so much faster that he's going to have a nicer T2 economy here. Once he gets his energy in order. His energy is a bit low right now. His mexes are turning off, so his income for metal is a little bit lower than it should be. But yeah, Therxy, you know, kind of looked at the situation, said like, okay, you went T2. I should have the potential to push right now because you're spending all this money on that lab. You're not, you know, and then you're potentially building, you know, stronger units, but at a higher cost, which means, you know, less T2 units in general, or less units in general, and not able to defend so many areas at once. But you know, he's pairing it with a lot of grunts, and he's pairing, you know, and it's with a lot of fiends that are really not that expensive either. So you know, it's kind of the nice thing about going bots over vehicles as T2 is you get these nice cheap ways to apply pressure or defense, or you know, just have cheaper units out so that you can muster a bigger force for defense and whatnot. But yeah, with the T2 here from Therxy, you know, he's going to need to catch up a little bit on the economy side of things, and at the same time, you know, getting shelled by these Sheldons is kind of a big deal as well, just taking little bits of damage. So he's feeling the pressure. He wants to push, but at the same time, you know, ZLO just looks at that big army and backs up, and what that means is, you know, just a little tidbit in terms of tactics. If your opponent's pushing down here with a strong army, you fall back. You just like keep falling back. You set up some units on the sides, and then you can attack from all these different directions and squash the army. So ZLO trying to set that up so that, you know, if you overcommit as Therxy, you're going to lose everything, you know, because you're dealing with these faster units attacking and getting extra flanking damage and whatnot. Yeah, and Therxy, being smart, decides not to go for that bait. Instead just kind of chills back, but at the same time, that means these T1 medium tanks and Janus are just not going to be the thing anymore. Like, they're going to lose value over time as these T2 units come out with this additional range. Therxy, I think, realizing that, has set up a couple of rattlesnakes here for some defense, for some long range plasma fire on these units if they try to get too close to this middle base here. So I think ZLO is going to be looking at that and saying like, okay, let's attack somewhere else. You are setting up all these big defenses over there. Let's just go somewhere else. And I think ZLO maybe maybe sees an opportunity to use these bedbugs on the flank. Also setting up some defenses on this right-hand side here. So just making sure that he is well protected as well. Is that Scuttle? Yeah, even get some Scuttles out here. Scuttles are certainly a lot more expensive than Bedbugs, but they can cloak. He doesn't really have the energy for it at the moment, but they can cloak. They are not stealth, so they are picked up on radar. But yeah, they can do massive amounts of damage. A lot more than the Bedbugs can. So, you know, maybe you can find a good opportunity to use that, but at the moment, his energy needs to get fixed up here a little bit before that happens. Now, Bedbugs are amphibious, by the way, so they can go through the water here. And, you know, this is something that I don't think a lot of players, even at high levels, think about. So I love to see plays like this. I love to see just special tactics in a way. And, you know, these Bedbugs coming up through the water into the main base, possibly going to take out a bunch of these wind turbines if Therxy doesn't catch wind of it. And I don't think he's going to, because no one thinks about this. Even some finches coming out here, looking around. I didn't even see these Bedbugs in the back here. But yeah, he's coming in from two different angles with that. He's just now making a beach landing. There are some actual ticks back here, so you know, but Therxy's not going to see it in time, and yeah, these are just going to explode. And yeah, self-D, they do a lot more damage with self-D as well, so something to think about. Now these are in position, they are being reclaimed because there's nothing that these nanos are doing, so they're just like kind of idly reclaiming these. They aren't exploding, and the anticipation's killing me. Okay, there they go. Take out the fusion, take out some nanos. Yeah, I think that's very reasonable target to go for, the fusion there. Now we do have these Bedbugs coming in on the side here, and they do explode when they blow up as well. So doing a little bit of damage to the, you know, to that stuff. I think Therxy has picked up on what's going on here. He's starting to build on some light laser towers, but yeah, just too late here. And these maybe going to go for the nanos, I think. Okay, they're going to spread out to maximize their payload here, and yeah, take out a lot of those wind turbines and whatnot there. So some really good value from ZLO with those Bedbugs. They're only 69 metal, so you know, if you can find an angle where they can get in and do that damage, it's exceptionally good. The only problem is they don't have a lot of hit points, so like if there's any defense at all, they can pretty easily get taken out. And yeah, looking at the rest of this battle here, I mean, Therxy's still sitting on a lot of these T1 units. He has some Starlights out as well now. Gonna need to really get that energy in order, though. I think this is buying ZLO a lot of time to muster a larger force here, just because of those energy problems, because of taking out that fusion. And so yeah, ZLO's actually playing a really safe, protected game here. He's just doing those bits of damage, you know, finding good value out of something that's so cheap, and just building up his T2 forces here, just building up longer range stuff. Even has some bombers out coming across the map. And yeah, it looks like he's gonna go for that T2 lab here. And yeah, this is just gonna put down even more pressure on Therxy. T2 lab certainly getting down. No anti-air here, really. And Therxy's going for a T3 lab here with all that metal that he has. Which you know, it's kind of a reasonable thing to do because they cost so much metal, and if you have a bank of metal, you know, you might as well just go for it because you're not spending it otherwise. But yeah, I think that's just too much damage here. The T2 lab, the bot lab here, no more tick spam. Actually, there's still a bot lab here that's alive, so there's going to be some tick spam, but not as much as he wants. Back to the base here, he still does have a fusion, or I don't know if he probably just rebuilt that real quick. But either way, like, he's kind of in some trouble here. He's got primarily T1 units still. You know, has a couple of bulls, has the Starlights. The Starlights are great, but ZLO just doing a great job picking the correct unit for the job. You know, these arbiters that he has, sending these missiles, you know, in such a long range, able to do some damage here and there, especially to the you know, to the defenses of Therxy. So you know, I think he's just played a better, safer game here. Even having these Shivas come out. Shivas are so inexpensive for what they are. You know, they're only about 1,500 metal, and you know, they got some reasonable range. They got some excellent damage. They got a lot of hit points, and I think it's going to be really tricky for Therxy to deal with it. He kind of needs to keep these Starlights alive, by the way, to be able to deal with those Starlight, or sorry, to deal with the Shivas. Even a Karganeth coming out here. They have a little bit less range, but you know, they shoot some pretty rapid missiles that do some pretty good damage. And you know, I think this is just so much pressure on Therxy. And yeah, at the same time, relying on these Starlights, but doesn't really have the energy to use them all that much because of that fusion loss. You know, he has rebuilt some, but he's going to need to keep rebuilding fusions if he wants to keep using Starlights. Oh, there's a Bedbug. I thought it was going to be a Scuttle. Looked like a Scuttle there for a second. Yeah, Scuttle can be really nice on this map because, you know, if you're able to take out the radar, like, there's radars in these positions, so like they can be seen, but at the same time, you don't know what it is if it's crawling up here. It could just be a grunt or something. You know, and then all of a sudden it's in the back of your base, and if there isn't a radar or something, or maybe there isn't any units to defend it, then they can just get in and explode on whatever they want. You know, Bedbugs too, actually, because there's no defenders. So, yeah, I mean, I think at this point in the game, you know, that's the least of Therxy's problems here. He really needs to deal with this, and he doesn't really have the income to deal with it. He's got some Razorbacks out now, which are pushing back these Shivas, but it's really just not enough. They don't have the range to really like deal with the Shivas. At least not in full. They can like push them back, you know, and then retreat and get healed up and stuff, but it's really hard for them to fully destroy Shivas by themselves. But yeah, let's take a look at the like what's happening overall. Like, these incomes aren't that different. You know, but ZLO has maintained a bigger army, is able to just keep adding on more and more units to his army. And, you know, if he's able to put down pressure on this on this right side, and maybe put down some pressure on this left side, you know, again, because this is kind of a defended area here, it's gonna be really hard for Therxy to maintain these side positions here, and then he's just gonna lose out on income. And you know, that'll be it, because Therxy doesn't have the army to do anything. So, you know, and again, I want to just point out that ZLO has done a great job maintaining his army, and that's really the big thing here is, if you're spending that much on your army, you don't want to just like send them in and get them destroyed. You want to like take it easy. You want to like, you know, have the right unit for the job and keep everything that you have as alive as possible and maintain that bigger force and win in the long term. You know, you don't want to get little advantages here and there, like those Bedbugs taking out that fusion. You know, like these units on this right-hand side poking around. You know, if these ran into some Razorbacks, these would certainly fall back, or any kind of spam, or you know, like anything that would push this back. You know, just being able to maintain those units while Therxy throws away whatever units, you know, in return, and trying to defend this location. Yeah, so many missiles coming out here. I mean, I don't know if this is just Zao loves the missiles, or I said Zao. I meant ZLO, if he loves the missiles or what. Or I should say rockets. But yeah, these high trajectory rockets from the Shivas and the Arbiters just like blowing up the place. You know, that can certainly do some friendly fire as well. And they're not very good against things like ticks, but you know, just having these rocket bots are interesting in a way, because you just have all these missiles flying around. But yeah, they're great for things like this, just like assaulting a base from a distance, and then you have your short range cannon on these Shivas as well to deal with you know, enemies that are you know, getting too close. Oh, but look at this, we got some grunts on this left-hand side crawling around on the mountains here, just running around looking for things to do, take out a little bit of the economy. But yeah, if they're able to maybe take out some of this wind, that would be huge as well. So Therxy just kind of falling apart here, spending a little bit too much, I think, in the wrong types of units here. Like Like, sure, the Razorbacks are great for spam, but it's really hard to deal with Shivas with Razorbacks. You know, these Shivas are amphibious, they're able to just run into the water, and these Razorbacks can't really close that gap and kill them off. So, you know, it's just kind of an odd unit choice for the Shivas, but a great unit choice in terms of the spam that ZLO has been pushing out here. Yeah, look, though, I went a little too far, but yeah, there is a grunt back here destroying the place. The commander moving up here, trying to do some things. And unfortunately, these construction turrets are like busy doing things. They're like set to reclaim this one's like set to reclaim a wind turbine that's out of range. Otherwise, this would have been reclaimed a lot sooner. But yeah, certainly at this point, ZLO has enough units to just kind of run in there and kill Therxy. So I think this is pretty much over. I'm actually going to speed it up a little bit further. Let's go to... Okay, so this is about 5 times speed here, so just to close this out. We do have a Titan out here. Actually, maybe I'll slow down a little bit here. We do have a Titan and a couple of Vanguards out here. Now, this is kind of a nice way to like keep your Vanguards alive, and you have those Vanguards to be able to shoot really far. They actually have less DPS than these Starlights, but you know, they certainly have a lot more range. So yeah, just trying to protect him with this beefy Titan here, but there's just so many units from Therxy. There's even a plasma shield here to like protect against some of the plasma fire from those Vanguards. And yeah, I think it's just time, you know, ZLO is pushing in here with all these units. And maybe it wasn't a good time. He's actually taking a lot of damage here, and maybe this is going to allow Therxy to get back in this game. But you know, at the same time, there is a lot of economic damage on the left and right hand side, and I guess Therxy taps out self-D'ing his commander there. Ended. Yeah, what a wild game, going all the way to T3 in this 1v1 on Tundra. Anyways, I am Zeteo. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.